decision is
It's the decision that is the genesis of what we are happened later. Before that, it was investigation.
It was investigation.
It starts what we...
If we look at that decision, and you can assume in our favor, we've read the papers before us from cover to cover. At that time, if we look at how prosecutorial discretion has to be exercised, because this is about prosecutorial discretion, is the focus only on whether one has a prima facie case against someone, or is it also whether one will have successful prosecution against someone?
Well, I'm going to quote a case, my lady. It's an important question because it's one of the questions about which we differ in how we approach this matter. When does a prosecutor decide to prosecute? They will tell you, if they are honest, we're not dealing with Mr. Zuma, that in fact Mr. Downer says this in his memorandum. You have a prima facie case against someone, that's the time to prosecute. What we will see that Mr. Nguga wanted, because I will read what he wanted in his letter, and we've raised it. He wanted a guarantee that a conviction would happen. Now, my lady, that is not the standard. We say. We will quote to you cases that deal with how a prosecutor should deal with a matter. In actual fact, prosecutors are governed, all of them, they know it better than I do. I'm no expert in prosecution. Is that they assist these courts to evaluate evidence, and they do that without fear or favor. And one of the principles that must govern them, as Mr. Masuku will tell you, is that they should not work overzealously to get someone convicted. That is not their task. And we will tell you that from that day, the decision by Mr. Nguga, we call it the day he decided to hang Mr. Zuma out to dry. And isn't he dry? He told us to suspect the things we think we know about him, but I won't do anything. So that was the decision we're talking about. But it starts this way. Let me go back to exactly day one. As the case says, the NDPP case versus Zuma, that's the one of the SCA that we've quoted in our heads. This matter has had a troubled history. The SCA, with all these other things they say about Mr. Zuma, and my learned friends quote them, they do acknowledge that. So the source of the genesis of this, or the genesis of this case, is the arms deal. It's the arms deal. That's the beginning. We are going to investigate as the country, so the investigators are going to investigate the arms deal, because there were allegations, I think we can all Delil. I cannot speak like she did, but she alerted us to what she called allegations in Parliament of how the arms deal had been conducted. That's how it starts. Where is Mr. Zuma at the time? He's an MEC in KZN. But this is a cabinet decision. Now, of course, we call that because I will call the judges, my lord and ladies, to look at You don't have to look at it now, but it's page 3,399 of our papers. Because you will see therein that there are references in the indictment to the arms deal. So there is no dispute about how it started. In fact, the answering affidavit itself of the NPA acknowledges this was the catalyst. I think it's paragraph 95 of it. But anyway, during 2000, as we say in our heads, what we used to know as the Scorpions then was established and located at the NPA. The head of the DSO, that's why I said to you, it starts, it ends as it starts. Mr. McCarthy, the one I've said calls judges Indian this and other people F this, when he's speaking to politicians, taking instructions about how to do his job, he becomes the head. And who else leads this place where he is going to function from? It's Mr. Nguga. This is very interesting because I will take you to what Mr. Nguga himself says about what we will see in the spy tapes as I read them. When he had long left the NPA, he was telling them when to prosecute and how to adjust it to the man he seems to have been his disciple of, Mr. Thabo Mbeki, at the time. He is a self-confessed political ally of Thabo Mbeki. He admits it himself. You just have to read at page 4,415. That's where he admits it. While I'm there, I want to tell this court that we're going to harp on that interference that started by that happens later, because Mr. Nguga answers it for this court. He answers it when we say, what the hell is an outsider doing, telling prosecutors, no, wait for Pulukwane a bit, this fool called Zoma, let's wait and see how we're going to deal with it, maybe do it closer to the time, telling prosecutors the timing. How does he tell this court? He has told you, my lord and lady, why he did that. He doesn't tell us which section of the law allowed him to. No, he tells us, oh no, I was married to a deputy president. That is his words. I was married to a deputy president, therefore I had an interest. Please, it can't be. So, anyway, one of the first tasks of the Scorpions, the DSO led by Mr. McCarthy, was to investigate the allegations of fraud and corruption in the arms deal procurement process, wherein Mr. Zuma was mentioned. And of course, one could have no difficulty with this because we agree corruption is a serious matter that had to be investigated wherever it happened.
Mr. Sifekan, I just want to flow with you. He was not mentioned at that stage in 2000.
So he was not mentioned in the investigation.
You just said it, because that's what you said, that he was.
He was. I'm saying the procurement process mentions him, but he's not mentioned in the investigation. He's not told that he's being investigated.
That actually came out on the 26th of September from the affidavit of Mr. Sheikh.
Yes.
Yes.
That's how it came up.
Yes.
We will tell you how it also comes out, because he asks at some point, am I being investigated? On 6 November 2000, Mr. McCarthy started this investigation in terms of Section 2813 of the National Prosecuting Act. I will keep calling it NPA Act. I hope that will be in order. And one of the main targets of the investigation was Thomson CSF companies. which was part of the consortium which had been awarded the contract to provide corvettes to the defense force. But I'm not going to come to explain what the different processes of procurements are. I don't want to scare people here about types of arms that we needed, because it's not important. What's important is that it had to deal with how the South African state procured its arms. That's how it starts. And of course, as it would later turn out, Mr. Sheikh had an interest in Thompson CSF through the company called Nkobi Investment. But what we say that it's in volume 10 at page 2730. The answering affidavit does not dispute it. You can also see this in Annexure A4, NPA 4 at page 3097. Now, of course, this company, Thompson CSF, the auditors, I think at the time, and if I'm mistaken, nothing turns on it. It was Arthur Anderson.
Yes, it was Arthur Anderson.
That they had become aware that Zuma was involved in bribery.
Mr. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just want to follow it properly.
Yes.
Because you said Thompson was targeted, but the reason, as I understand the papers, he was targeted is because Chippy Sheikh had been a member or played a part in the defense force, and that's how it's linked. So I want us to come with it.
Absolutely, that's the link. When I say targeted, I mean, maybe I should use the word...
No, I don't mind using the word targeted, but there was a reason why it was targeted. I don't want us to leave it there.
Absolutely.
There was a reason, because they were looking into all the companies,
Absolutely.
and then they discovered Sheikh, and then they were linking the Sheikhs.
And of course, it's not...
In other words, the investigation was directing them towards Thompson.
Yes.
I think let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm happy. I'm indebted to your leadership. Now, of course, the DSO then, the Scorpions, on the 24th of August 2001, did take the decision to investigate the matter, focusing on those companies. Thompson